Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about bottlenecks in society and the computer revolution. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Fredrik, what from your perspective is required to happen in order for the real computer revolution to start? And the short answer is, if this is not the computer revolution, I would say that manufacturing needs to be digitalized. Let me explain. So this was a little bit of a strange question because we are in what we call the IT age, and data today is worth more than gold. If you know the sort of things that Google and Facebook and these companies know, well, then the information that you have in your databases are actually worth more than gold. And that to me is a pretty significant thing. If you think about it, the most successful companies, the Fortune 500 companies, most of them are digital companies, like the top tier. They are all IT product companies of some sort. And that, for me at the very least, is a pretty big revolution, but I'm assuming that this person is talking about for the common man, or the common woman, the common person, let's call it that, to be all gender neutral and politically correct, which is a big thing for me. So if that's what we're talking about, well, then we should probably take it one further and say, okay, at what point are we going to call this a revolution? Well, to me, a revolution apart from what we have today would be that pretty much everybody has a skill related to programming, or pretty much everybody is depending on programming in some fashion, or computers in some fashion, to do pretty much everything. And if you, depending on how you look at it, that's already happening today. There is pretty much no process today that you are part of that is not connected to a computer. Most of the society that we have today only works because there is a database somewhere storing the information. If we delete your records from the right database, you don't exist anymore. And to me, like, you are already, like, every single person is controlled literally by a computer. But the one thing that is lacking, in my opinion, from society for us to say that, well, pretty much the whole world is controlled and run by computers, is the manufacturing process of goods and services, but goods at the very least. What I mean by that is that one of the biggest threats to our society, and one of the potentially most important innovations that has happened since the computer, is the 3D printer. Now, the reason why I say this is because this is a machine that has the ability to produce goods for us. And in effect, that challenges a fundamental part of our society, and that is the fact that you don't have the ability to do everything yourself. Our entire system, our entire market is based on that idea. And it goes back to since the dawn of man. The trading of goods and services has always been depending on the fact that I, as an individual human being, can't do everything I need or make everything I need myself. So I need to make a surplus of the things that I'm good at making, and you make a surplus of the things that you are good at making. And then if we can come to an agreement, we can trade. And it's a fundamental part of our society. But with the 3D printer, we introduce something new. The computers have already made it possible for us to go from, well, to make education, like the internet as an example, has enabled more people to be educated than ever possible before, at an almost no existing, I guess, at the lowest cost historically. It's never been cheaper to get smart or get educated than it has today. There's never been a better situation for a human to learn things than there is today. But the 3D printer introduces an opportunity for that to happen with manufacturing. And that's a very interesting thing, but it's also a very dangerous thing. I believe that if we were to make 3D printers evolved into a point where they're extremely accessible, affordable, and very customizable, and they can pretty much, with the right set of coding tools or development tools for different models and different goods, well, the next generation of them, if they actually have that flexibility, well, in theory, they should be able to produce most of the things that you have in your life, most of the things. And then the only thing that actually matters anymore is who has the idea, who owns the patent. The problem with patents is that unless you can enforce them, nobody gives a shit. That's the whole piracy problem, which means that today you're really only limited by the fact that you can't build an Apple computer yourself, and that's why you need to buy it. That's why Apple makes money. The second you can copy that laptop, the value of their brand will fall. It will fall through the floor. Because there's no, unless you, of course, really go hard on branding and people actually are going to be honest and say that, no, I actually buy the thing for the brand. Because there are people who do that. Because it makes you feel important. I don't know why. But for the pragmatists among us, we will never have to buy an Apple computer or a Microsoft, like a PC, it doesn't matter. We will never have to buy goods because we can produce them ourselves. And then the only people who are going to make any serious money are the people who produce the cylinder, like the materials we need for our printers, and the people who come up with the ideas. And if we, in some weird universe, could start tracking every single thing a 3D printer produces and then make sure that nobody's copying us, well, then maybe. But in practice, that's impossible because it's unless you redistribute things or resell them, which would be also pointless to resell the things that you are printing. I mean, in the piracy world, at the very least, you could make some money from pirating because it wasn't available to everybody else. Well, with a 3D printer, that's a problem, because if someone owns a 3D printer, they can use that printer to make more printers, and then you can give it away to all your friends and family, and all they have to do is to have the materials for the printer, and then they can pretty much build their entire life at the fraction of the cost it would cost to buy all of these things. So I think that that is the bottleneck, because once that happens, if that ever gets to a point where this is feasible, then the only thing that matters anymore is how smart are you and how good are you at designing software and models and things that can be automated through these sorts of machines, because then we go full circle. Then humans are practically redundant for everything except for assembling the thing, maybe. And that is also, I mean, the car manufacturing companies and most manufacturing companies have the idea of automation in some fashion. So certain goods need to be assembled, but then it's also, in my world, just a matter of time before that gets automated too. So what I want you to take away from this is that, at the very least from my perspective, the bottleneck for the real computer revolution, if this isn't the computer revolution, is going to be the manufacturing process. Currently, we have automated intellectual property to the point where you can build an entire empire with a single laptop if you wanted to. It just comes down to the fact that we've already progressed that part so far that it's never been easier to learn and educate yourself and to get your information out there and get people interested in the information that you have. The one thing that you don't have today is the ability to produce goods, and in an efficient way. And if we solve that problem through something like a 3D printer or a similar sort of thing, then the only thing that limits you is the fact that you need the resource, like the wood or the metal or whatever, available to you so that the printer can actually do the work, and then you need to assemble the thing. And once that's done, well, then it's there's practically nothing in society from mainstream, from society as it works today, apart from services. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure we're not going to 3D print our way out of prostitution, but for the vast majority of society, people will not need to buy things. They will simply print things at a fraction of the cost it took to manufacture them for all these super big, large these giant corporations. And that, to me, would be the true computer revolution, because then the only thing that matters is, do you have a computer? Because you need one to just survive in our society. And the second thing is, do you have the skills to actually use it? Have a great day.